you get started putting the ingredients together for the brownies, you want to take a 9 by 13 pan and line it with parchment paper and turn your oven on to 325. Here I have 6 eggs that I've beaten a little bit, and then I put in the microwave just to take the chill off because they were cold. I did it for about 12 seconds. You have to be very careful because you don't want the eggs to cook. Here I have 1 cup of butter along with this chocolate. Here is unsweetened chocolate. This is the box. It's Baker's Unsweetened Chocolate. Unfortunately, it's very difficult to find unsweetened chocolate. Anything but Baker's. And actually, it is pretty expensive. If you go to Walmart, though, it's a lot less money than a lot of the other stores. So when I go to Walmart, sometimes I'll pick up 5 or 6 of these bars. Now, this is a 4-ounce bar, and you need 6 ounces of chocolate. And as you see, I've chopped it up because it'll make it a little easier for it to melt in the microwave. I put the butter on top of the chocolate because then the butter will melt down on top of the chocolate and help the chocolate to melt more quickly. This is some extra sugar. It's probably about 1/2 cup, and I sprinkle that on top of the batter before I bake it. I'm going to use a whisk to start with, and we're going to beat the eggs. And as we beat the eggs, we're going to add the sugar. We're going to do that very slowly until they get very thick, and that could take, well, some people say a couple of minutes, some say even 10 minutes. I've never done it that long because you have to do it until it looks a certain way. You start it slow, and just take your sugar and very slowly add it to it. Here I'm just finishing up putting the sugar in. Now my eggs are pretty much done. Everybody's mixture is going to be a little bit different. So I'm also going to change from a whip beater to a regular beater. This is what they look like. Can you see the little air bubbles in there coming up to the surface? So here I'm going to put the other beater on, and then we're going to add the chocolate. Add the chocolate very, quickly. You don't need to beat it in a lot. Just make sure that you have all your chocolate in there and that it's pretty much incorporated. You don't want to get rid of all the air bubbles. Now I'm going to add my flour. Here I have 1½ cups of flour that I aerated the flour a little bit before I actually measured it. But it's 1½ cups, and I just add it, and I don't mix it very much. Now I'm going to stop the mixer and take off the beater. I'm going to take the bowl off the stand, and I'm going to mix the rest of the flour in by hand. And you'll see when I'm mixing it in that I'm actually even going down below. I'll go down below and I'll scrape the very bottom of the pan because sometimes there's some egg and sugar mixture there because you don't mix the chocolate very much. Now go ahead and just pour your batter, and you see how nice and thick that batter is. That's exactly the way your batter should look. For some reason, if it looks different than that, your end product is going to be different. So what I do is I take it from the center and I push it out to the sides. I always try to have it a little thicker around the outside edges. Because this is a thick batter, it'll bake better that way. Now here I have an offset spatula, which really does help to do that. So I'll flatten it out, and then I'm going to push from the center to the outside edge just to make that area a little bit thicker, especially in the corners. Now watch what I'm doing here. I'm taking my spatula and I'm running some lines through the batter. That just helps to pull out some of the big air pockets. Now here's what the batter looks like. Isn't that pretty? Now I'm going to take some sugar and I'm going to sprinkle that all over the top. My mom used to always do that. She never used an icing. She always just sprinkled lots of sugar over the top, which gives it a nice sugary top, and it also gives a nice, like a harder crust on top. So go ahead and cover that. You can't put too much sugar on because actually it won't stick. The sugar won't stick. If you have too much, it'll just come off. Don't worry about it. Usually I put about maybe half a cup on top. Be sure that you have enough sugar into the sides and the very corners, because I usually cut these brownies pretty small because they're very rich, they're very chocolatey, and so a small piece is just really perfect. So don't forget the corners, that way all the pieces will have sugar on them. Bake these for 55 minutes or until the toothpick comes out clean when you stick it sort of near the center, or you can press down on the batter. It should be very springy in the center. Now I'm taking a pizza cutter. You can use a knife. It's not, you don't have to have a pizza cutter. And I'm just going to, I'm not going to cut all the way through the brownie. I'm just cracking through the crust on the top because I find that when they're hot, it's better to do this when they're hot, because if you wait till they're all cooled, then the crust is sort of hard on top and it won't break in a straight line. So see how I've made them pretty small? Allow the brownies to completely cool now, and I'll show you how I cut them up. When you use parchment paper, see how easy it is? You can take the brownies right out of the pan, and then I'll pull away the paper away from the brownie, and then I'll be able to just use a large knife for anything you really like. I happen to have these large knives, and then I just cut down the lines I've already made until all the brownies are completely cut into their pieces. Now I'm going to take them off the parchment paper just by using either a long knife, or I have this long spatula. I can just slide it right under the cookies and they'll come right off the paper. So I'm just going to set up a platter of cookies. And this is it. This is the brownies. These are the best brownies you'll ever eat, I think. And it's the only recipe you'll probably ever need. I hope you try these brownies and that you like them as much as I do. Subscribe to our channel and share our video. See you soon. Bye.